honey. I didn't even know you could fit in there. You little munchkin, little kitty in a basket. I know, she's very cute right now.
Look, her hair's longer than her tail. Did you notice that?
I did. We love you.
Aww.
Hey, beautiful girl, Sylvie. Sylvie's coming to say hello today. Hey, Syl. Hey guys, it's Chanel, and this vlog is a mood reading vlog. I was going to do a themed one, but after that last book I read for the Get Real Weird With It reading vlog, I was like, you know what, I can't take a chance on it. I need to choose something that I know will be absolutely benign, non-traumatic, not disturbing. Have I chosen well? I don't know. I'll let you know the first two books that I've picked up so far. One of them is Blue Sisters by Coco Melors. I do have to read this because I cannot renew it. This has a waiting list as long as the River Nile. This is a litfic about four sisters, the Blue Sisters. So you have Avery, who is a former heroin addict cum lawyer who's also gay. Bonnie, who is a boxer, hard on the outside, soft on the inside. Lucky, who is a model with a, I would say, party drug addiction. Now, I have to interject. This character, Lucky, is named Lucky Blue, and she's a platinum blonde model. I don't know if the author is aware that there is a platinum blonde male model named Lucky Blue, but I find that a weird choice. It's not a common name. And the fact that the character is in the same profession, has the same aesthetic as a real life person, is weird. It's like if someone was writing about a rapper and named their rapper in their book Kanye West. You'd be like, out of all the names? So I don't know, maybe they just weren't aware that a Lucky Blue exists, but it threw me out of the book for a bit. And then you had Nikki, who was the fourth sister. She was, I think, a teacher, and she's dead. And she suffered with endometriosis, which is a condition I have. So you do get chapters in each of the girls' point of views. I will say, obviously, this does have a lot of drug use and addiction in here. And I'm not sure whether or not Nikki, the fourth sister, did kill herself or not. So that could be a thing. She was in immense pain from endometriosis, which, you know, can relate. I am currently on page 117. So it's easy to read. Not a lot is happening. We're sort of currently learning about the sisters' relationship dynamics with each other and also their lives out in the real world. They came from a difficult childhood home. Their father was an alcoholic. Their mother was basically just checked out. So they are currently all sort of coming back together because it's been 1 year since their sister's death, and the parents want to sell the childhood home and have asked the daughters to clear out Nikki's things. I like the cover. I think it's a very pretty portrait. I am going to finish it. I'm, like I said, pretty much halfway through the book, so I'm like, I may as well just push through and see how it ends, see if anything else happens, if there's some kind of twist. But so far, it's just a sort of slice of life book. It's feeling like a 3 stars to me, but I'm happy to continue to see whether it goes up a notch. Hopefully it doesn't go down a notch. I'm taking a bit of a risk with this one, but at least it's mild compared to what I just read. So besides that, on Libby, I am currently reading Severance by Ling Ma, which was a book that I chose for my TBR. I'm not going to do any more monthly TBRs. I don't like the pressure to have to read those books by the end of the month, and I'm a completionist in that respect. If I say I am going to do something, I do it unless health or life circumstances literally force me not to. So I think going forward, I do love doing the tarot shuffle and getting a random prompt to pick a book. I do find that fun. So what I might do is, in my mood reading vlogs, I will pick one of the books that way. That way I can just read it immediately rather than having this looming list of books hanging over my head that must be read by the end of the month. So I think, yeah, going forward, I'm just going to do a book prompt in the mood reading vlogs. But Severance by Ling Ma is a kind of litfic dystopian. That's what it feels like. You've got a woman who lives in New York. A pandemic has hit. This is written pre-COVID, and it doesn't feel like COVID, but there's this fever, I think it was called Shen fever, and basically it turns humans into zombies, but not brain flesh eating zombies who are just running on autopilot. They're cleaning their houses, they're walking around malls, they're folding laundry, they're just mindlessly doing things. I can see the overarching themes here, but I will talk about it more once I have finished it. So far, it's fine. It's feeling like a 3 to 3.5. And I know I probably should DNF it. I probably should DNF this because, you know, I would like to get some more 4 and 5 stars under my belt, but I just do need sort of a palate cleanser after the last book. I don't want to actually read anything thrilling or absorbing. I kind of need to sit on my nervous system and calm down a bit. So I am going to finish these, but after these two, I am going to be stricter with my DNFs. And if a book isn't feeling more than a 3.5, but between 50 to 100 pages in, 100 pages is for the fantasies and sci-fi, so take more because of the world building, I am just going to DNF from now on. Like I said, there are billions of books, trillions of books, however many books out there. I can't possibly read all of them in my lifetime. So I'd rather have all the books I read in my lifetime be ones that are just completely to my taste and 4 and 5 star reads. That makes sense to me because I do now force myself to read other books in full for themed vlogs. So I am pushing through with other ones. So those can be my experimentals, my possibly less than 3-star books, and my mood reading. I do want to just keep it to, oh my God, this book is so good from the beginning kind of thing after this one and Severance, because yeah, I'm actually happy not to be overexcited at the moment. But those are the first 2 books that I am starting with. It is going to be absolutely storming today, which is perfect reading weather. I did some baking with Indiana, so I allowed her to pick some recipes from a book, and of course she chose a bread one. I have never made a bread from scratch, so this was pretzels, and it's a lot of work. I have even more appreciation, admiration for bakers, like kneading dough and all of the steps it takes. It took 4 hours overall, and they were just repeated steps of making something, let it prove, doing something again, allowing it to rest, doing this step, boiling it, dressing it, baking it. It took a lot of effort. Granted, they were delicious, but I thought, I'm never doing this again. I'd rather just go and buy a pretzel pre-made. But Indiana went nuts over them and has begged that it be a monthly occurrence. So I don't know, I might try and find an easier bread recipe that doesn't involve as many steps as these pretzels did. But we did that, and then on the agenda today, I think we're going to make a risotto, which is a Greek cinnamon rice pudding. This one said to put a bit of rose water in, so we'll see how that goes. That's not how my yaya did it, but I will follow the recipe true to its ingredients. I prefer my risotto hot. I like hot, creamy rice pudding. A lot of people do put it in the fridge so it's cold. So I'll allow the kids to try both and see which one they prefer. But yeah, it's just going to be a cozy baking at home reading day kind of day today. Okay, so I have finished Blue Sisters by Coco Mellows. So this ended up being less tame than I was anticipating. There are also, I guess, trigger warnings for overdosing, sexual assault, kleptomania, infidelity. The list goes on. So these sisters have a lot of issues, a lot of addictions, and they are not coping in the healthiest of ways. I ended up giving it a 3 stars. It was fine. I didn't particularly think anything grand of it. It was very sort of basic in regards to the writing and the storyline. It just focuses on these sisters' dysfunctional relationships with each other and with themselves. Like I said, there were a lot of heavier topics discussed within, so do check the trigger warnings. Yeah, but for me, it was just a very middle of the road book, which is absolutely fine. I was feeling it was probably going to be that way, and it was. But once again, it's one of those books that is doing the rounds, and I was curious to see what the hype was about. It's not to my taste, but I can understand why some people might enjoy it, especially if you like litfics that focus heavily on family drama. But yeah, 3 stars. I'll take my glasses off. I always keep forgetting that the glasses reflect the sunshine, so hopefully that's better for you guys. The next book I read was Seance Party by Reimena Yees. So I'll show you the illustrations. So this is a middle grade or YA, maybe, graphic novel about growing up and changing, and it's basically a book about teens and ghosts figuring themselves out and learning along the way. I think the illustration style is really, really lovely. You want to say hello again? say hello. You say hello, everybody. Hi, everybody. Hello. The baby in the family. It was sweet. It was quite long. I don't think it needed to be as long as it was, but I would probably recommend it to tweens. I think that would be the demographic it would suit the most. It's not spooky at all. So if you're worrying about it being scary, it's not. The ghost is a very friendly, lovely young girl who died around the age of 13, 14, and she wasn't ready to let go of the childhood she was robbed of, and so she lived vicariously through all the other kids that came to live in the house that she haunted, and she grew up with them, but they grew up and moved on and she remained. So until she meets this young girl who is struggling with letting go of being a kid and having to step into the shoes of being a teenager. But I gave it a 3.5 stars. Like I said, I think it would be fantastic for middle graders. So I'm about halfway through Severance currently, and it's still fine. I do like post-apocalyptic stuff, and I do like books about work culture, so it's combining both of those. I will say I'm more interested in the post-apocalyptic portions of her life once she's hooked up with the survivors rather than the flashbacks to when she was just working and doing the regular routine, you know, the hamster wheel just going round and round and round and round, which is the life of being an adult. So we'll see how we go with that. I will pick something else up too, but I won't say, because if I end up DNFing it, then you're not going to see it in this vlog. So once I've picked something up and stuck with it, I'll let you know what that is. But I've got play dates today for my kids, so I have to clean the house and then apologize for it being messy, which is the game adults play. But I'll see you guys probably once I've finished the rest of the books for this reading vlog, which will probably be when my kids go to their dad's house, and I will hopefully have a cute fit on and be going out somewhere, fingers crossed. Who are you fighting?
The cat. Because it was like, what the hell are you doing, cat?
There she goes. Yeah, she's gone underneath now.
Feel my foot.
Snacks for the kids. Hey guys, I'm here to tell you about the rest of the books I read for this reading vlog. So I was reading Severance, which is about a woman living in New York during a pandemic, which destroys most of the population, turning them into mindless automatons, just repeating movements and chores. So non-violent, which was really refreshing to have a zombie book without brain eating zombies. She ends up joining a group of survivors and they make their way to the facility, which is actually a shopping mall. This book definitely reminded me of the book Right, with its themes of capitalism, corporate culture, and routine, along with the commentary on connection and the human condition. It was swapping between the two perspectives of her working at a mindless, dead-end, somewhat harmful job, and her going off with the survivors, which takes a turn. Now, this book should have been right up my alley. It really should have been one I loved, but at the end of the day, I've gone with a 3-star. It just, I don't know, I didn't feel called to pick it up. It was a bit of a chore to continue to pick it up, but its themes and the writing style is something that I normally would have enjoyed, but for some reason it just didn't hit for me. I just didn't become invested in it. It wasn't that poignant. A random sentence in here was, in Fuzu, milk was rare, reserved for children, so an entire gallon seemed incredibly decadent. Incredibly American. The main character, I think maybe it was to do with the fact that she felt very stoic, a bit removed, as if she's also too just going through the motions. And then the ending was ambiguous, which I'm not a huge fan of. I don't always love. Sometimes I accept it, like in I Who Have Never Known Men. But in this case, I'm like, I would have liked a bit more of a definitive ending. Like I said, it was okay. It was a decent read. I do have a question. Can any of you answer this question for me? What is a Schwarzenegger dick? I would like to know. One of the characters in here has a Schwarzenegger dick, and I'm like, what does that mean? It could go multiple ways. I could think of multiple meanings for this, but I want to know what the consensus is for Schwarzenegger dick. I then picked up the book New Mistakes, which was definitely what I would class as a weird litfic book. So in this book, there are 5 POVs, and I've decided instead of doing a random sentence, I'm going to just do the first sentence of the book. So I think that sometimes is telling of what the tone of the book is like. So the first sentence for this is, Julia woke up like a piece of sweaty sandwich meat. So you start the book with a throuple, and the throuple decides to become a couple, and the third wheel Julia ends up heading to her accomplished author trans brother's house to house sit like she was meant to, while he's off writing about cats, and she ends up killing his talking houseplants. You then have Avery, who is a former adjunct professor cuck who loves being pegged and sees a UFO while he is staying at his famous gay artist mother's house. Her name is Evil, and her possessive girlfriend Catherine. You also have Henry, who is a black gay wannabe Jackson Galaxy, and his telepathic cat Edith. So even though there were a lot of POVs, they did sound similar because the author has a very particular writing style. So it's got a strong flavor. And I find with authors that have such a distinct writing style that sometimes the characters can all end up sounding the same. And that did happen in this book a little bit, but I guess it made it easier for me to just read because they all sound quite same. But the characters do end up being interconnected in certain ways. This book has a lot of wanking, sex, and art. It's definitely pro UFOs, houseplants, and kitties, and it is wacky as fuck. It's one of those books where you don't really know what's going to happen. It's a bit zany. You're thinking, is this going to go full wacko, or is it going to be a little more polished and refined by the end of it? One of the quotes in there was a nod to tarot, so I had to include it, and it's, she remembered that the 3 of Swords reversed had medicine, and she intended to hang like a bat and let the blades slide free. I liked the writing style. I think the biggest thing in this book is you're going to have to like the writing style to enjoy the book. Like I said, or be really into talking about pubes and fisting and and pegging and sex and all of that jazz. Like I said, it was very focused on the body and art and expression and figuring out who you are and what you're going to do with your life and who you're going to be and what that means, and making new mistakes, not repeating the old mistakes over and over and over again. So yeah, it's a weird one, and for me it really felt like a 3.25. So I had to decide, am I going to round it down or round it up? I've decided to round it up to a 3.5. I found it entertaining. Because I grabbed some books at the library, I'm not going to do a haul because I feel like that spoils what's coming up. So I'm just going to show you which ones I read immediately for this vlog. So I read A Whisper of Cardamom by Eleanor Ford. So this is a recipe book, and when I tell you, it is one of the prettiest recipe books I have ever read. So it's got absolutely gorgeous illustrations in it. It is about spice. So I actually really enjoyed reading all about spice. They did it in a way. It's also got a lot of full color pictures, which is fantastic. They tell you the history of spice. They show you countries that the spices come from in these beautiful illustrated maps. And then they do this thing where I'll put it up close so you can see what I mean. They do little pie chart graphs showing you the flavor profile of spices and their uses and what they pair really well with and how to extract most of the flavor. So I found that so cool as an infographics nerd and very interesting. And there's a lot of spices that they include in this one, but it's very well done. Like it tells you how to balance the flavor profiles of each spice with either salty or sweet or sour. Different types of sugars are also mentioned in here because this is about sweet things. This is a dessert book. So it'll start with a spice. So this one is cardamom. So it'll have all of these cardamom ones. I'm planning on making this one because that sounds delicious and easy to do. So I am going to make that one, but this is so cool. I think for me, I can't rate recipe books unless I've cooked at least 50% of the recipes in them. So instead I would say, would I buy it? Yes, I would buy this. I have already bookmarked so many recipes to try. I'll let you know how they go, but I thought this was a really good one. If you like spices and sweets and combining those. Someone outside. The other book I decided to grab just for this vlog, since it was going to be a quick read, is With My Back to the World by Victoria Chang. So this is a poetry book and it is split into 3 parts. So you have part 1 and 3, which are very similar, and I'll talk about them in a second. And then you've got part 2, which is different. You can even see from the text how it differs from the other 2 visually. So I'll tell you the blurb of what this is meant to be about. So it says, it's a collection exploring the work of Agnes Martin, feminism, art, depression, and grief. So I'll tell you that the first part and the third part is a lot about numbers and shapes in those poems. Like, for instance, probably my favorite one out of those, even though this wasn't really to my taste, Homage to Life, 2003. This black trapezoid isn't named death or murder or what a lover promises in the dark. Agnes named it Homage to Life. Near the end of her life, Agnes lived in an assisted living facility. Everything violent in the world can be made beautiful with language. Someone passes, departs, or succumbs. This is called advertising. The grids are finally gone. Even while at the facility, Agnes drove to her art studio each day to work. I think about the people who bathed her, who cut up her food into trapezoids. I wonder when she stopped painting and if she knew. I have a feeling the shape of her last breath was no longer a rectangle. I have a feeling her last word was in the shape of sovereignty. Every poem is trying to be the last free words on earth. The middle poem was split into days. So as you can see, it'll say like January 11, 12, 13, 14. And this is all about the dying and death of her father. So it was quite different in its subject matter and tone to the other poems. I didn't really quite get this one, but it was interesting. It was a bit different and novel, I guess. So that was Victoria Chang, With My Back to the World. And the last book I picked up for this vlog is Cocktails with My Cat, Tasty Tipples for Feline Fanatics by Natalie Bovis, illustrated by Ray Ritchie. So I'm going to show you the illustrations in this because this is all about the pictures. It's got beautiful pictures of cats. But basically, even though I don't drink alcohol, haven't since I was like in my early 20s, this book makes me want to so bad. So it's structured in the way that you've got really cute cat stories or facts. So they could be about real people's cats and their life with them, or it could be about cats, famous cats from literature or film or history. And then you've got an alcoholic drink that is paired with it. So there is one non-alcoholic drink in here, but the rest are alcoholic. And seriously, I'm contemplating going and buying liquor so I can make one of these cocktails. So many interesting cocktails that I've never heard of before. And my dad had a hyperfixation on cocktails when I was 18, and he was making a different cocktail 4 out of the 7 days a week. So I've tried a lot of cocktails, and I can say I've really never tried any of the combinations of these ones. 2 that really caught my eye was Nifty Swifty Kitty Cat Club. So this is in honor of Taylor Swift's cats, and it has vanilla vodka, chocolate liqueur, biscotti flavored liqueur, which I didn't even know was a thing, but I googled and there is a liquor that's biscotti flavored, cream, chocolate syrup, and cookies. Look, I am a fan of the sweet cocktails, especially creamy ones. And this one, Strumphalicious Azrael. So this is in honor of Gargamel's cat Azrael from the Smurfs. And it's got shochu, half and half, creme de violette, and powdered sugar. Seriously, delicious. Even though I don't drink. I love the stories that went along with it, or the facts, or all of the cat related content. I thought it was really well done. It's so cute and adorable. If you know someone who loves cats and loves cocktails, I think this would be a great gift. And I seriously might try one of these drinks. And maybe I'll make a thing where, since I've got my best friend Kate coming over this month for her birthday, maybe I'll make her a cocktail. She doesn't really drink either. I made my two best friends non-drinkers too, so I just managed to find 2 other people who just don't have a thing for alcohol. But yeah, I might try one. So I might have to go through and decide which one do I want to spend my hard-earned money on, because the liquor bottle's expensive. But the curiosity has got me hooked, what it tastes like, because it sounds so interesting. But look, there's some stuff in here that I don't think many people have, like yak's butter. How many people got yak's butter? They do say you can use cow mixed butter, but yak's butter is the intended one. But yeah, really interesting stuff. So this was like a 5-star read. I absolutely loved it. So I'll quickly recap all of the books I read for this reading vlog. So I read Severance by Ling Ma, which I gave 3 stars. Blue Sisters by Coco Malors, which I gave 3 stars. With My Back to the World by Victoria Chang. Seance Tea Party by Ramina Yi, which I gave 3.5 stars. New Mistakes by Clement Goldberg, which I gave 3.5 stars. A Whisper of Cardamom by Eleanor Ford, which is like a 5-star recipe book. And my favorite read of this reading vlog, Cocktails with My Cat by Natalie Bovis, illustrated by Ray Ritchie, which I gave 5 stars, despite not being an alcohol drinker. So these were all of the books that I read. I will be doing some themed reading vlogs. Now I'll be going out because my kids have finally gone to their dad, so you'll get to see Melbourne again, and I'll get to put on some nice clothes, not just my house clothes. But until next time, stay wild, star child.